Hello, today I'm reviewing 3 at-home radio frequency devices designed to lift sagging skin and reduce wrinkle depth. I've used each of these devices for a period of 90 days in different zones of my face. This is a review that you guys requested. I'm so excited to show you my before and afters at the end of the video to determine if at-home radio frequency can help reduce my moderate to somewhat severe wrinkling on the under chin area and the lower portion of the face. Each one of these devices has different specs, but they all emit radio frequency. Radio frequency is part of the electromagnetic spectrum, down on the end of the spectrum with very long wavelengths, as opposed to gamma rays and X-rays, which have very short wavelengths, and then of course we have visible light wavelengths in between. So it's a type of energy. When produced in quantity, it can heat up the dermis of our skin. Heating up the dermis of our skin breaks down collagen for collagen remodeling. It stimulates fibroblasts to produce collagen. And in the end, producing collagen is what we want for anti-aging benefits because it gives our skin more turgor, more integrity, a tighter lifted look, more firm and plump appearance. As always, before starting any at-home skincare device, you need to make sure that you read the instructions and all the contraindications thoroughly. You should also have a conversation with your healthcare provider to make sure you don't have a health condition or a skin condition that may be contraindicated for the particular device that you're interested in using. It's also a great idea to do a skin sensitivity test, especially when using a radio frequency device. All 3 of these devices recommend doing that. I want to have a quick discussion about fat loss because that's a huge concern for people when they're considering starting an at-home radio frequency device.
Can radio frequency treatments end up leading to facial fat loss?
The million-dollar question, does radio frequency cause facial fat loss? Radio frequency, the risk of fat loss.
A mess of you wrote in and said, just be careful, it can melt your face back. They said, no, with the 3D technology, there is 0 chance that it will melt your face back.
These devices do use heat, so I can understand why there might be some concern. However, the heat does not penetrate to the subcutaneous level in home skincare devices to melt fat cells. Now, in office treatments, that might be the case. You might actually be going in for radio frequency treatment in office to actually shrink fat cells. But that's a completely different situation than with these home devices. They only get to a maximum of 42 degrees Celsius, and that cannot cause facial fat loss, and they don't penetrate deep enough into the subcutaneous levels to reach the fat cells. So we're only going to the dermis, we're only remodeling collagen, we're not getting near fat cells and causing fat loss. So I just wanted to allay any of those concerns that you might have. There was that concern about 4 years ago when these devices started popping up and people were really concerned about facial fat loss, which we should be because we want to protect our facial fat as much as possible. The first device I'm going to review is by NEWA. This is the device that I've been using the longest. I did an initial impressions over the summer, and then I did a 30-day trial. I put it away for a little while as I did all my skincare devices and then picked it up again in the fall when I wanted to do this 90-day review for you guys. The NEWA is a 4 to 5 day a week initial treatment session for about a month, 20 to 24 minutes. Each zone is about 4 minutes and it's about 6 zones. So about 24 minutes to do the entire lower face, and you're going to be doing that 4 to 5 times a week. It only treats the lower area of the face, the submental area, and the 2 zones, lower cheek and upper cheek. Then once you go on maintenance mode, you can go down to 2 times a week. During my 90-day trial, I decided to use the NEWA 4 to 5 times a week on that initial treatment mode, the more intense mode, and not go down to maintenance mode just to see how much benefit I could get in that 3-month window to be able to show you the most dramatic effect for the before and afters. They say the time period to see results with the NEWA is 1 to 3 months. So that's why I chose the 3-month period, because most of these devices, you have to use them for approximately 3 months before you see any significant change. So I used this for 3 months and I used it in the lower cheek area, right in here. The highest you can go with the NEWA is to the orbital bone. You do not want to get into the under eye soft tissue. You do not want to use the NEWA for the neck area. It's just not designed for those areas. So if you're looking for a radio frequency device to use the forehead, the crow's feet area, the under eye area, or the neck, this probably wouldn't be your best choice. The NEWA has 3 sets of bipolar electrodes that emit the radio frequency. So it goes out one electrode in your skin and then passes through back to the device itself. So 3 bipolar electrodes, and they're very concentrated in these sets of electrodes. So you're treating small areas. It also is used in a continuous motion. So you would apply your gel. Each one of these comes with their individual gel, and I recommend you use the gel that comes with each device. That's just my personal recommendation. People do use their favorite gels with different devices, but I feel like they've designed the gel to be used with the specific device, and so that's what I've always done, and that's what I recommend you do. So a few swipes of the gel over the electrodes, and then you turn it on. This is a corded version, and they also have a wireless version. I prefer the corded version. It just seems to emit a more consistent heat. After applying the gel, you turn the device on. It has 2 levels. When you're first testing it, test it out on level 1, see how your skin gets. Your skin will always pink up with radio frequency, but it dissipates after a few minutes. Your skin should not stay red for hours and hours and hours. It should just slowly start to dissipate. I've never had any heat sensitivity to any of these devices, and as you guys know, I have pretty sensitive skin. If you have no problem with level 1, bump it up to level 2. They recommend you maintain it at level 2 if your skin is tolerable. You're going to turn it on using this button, and it's going to flash blue, and then as you apply it to your face and the radio frequency starts to create heat, it's going to start flashing green. That means it's emitting the right temperature, and it monitors the skin the entire time. It has an automatic shut off. I really like that feature that it automatically will shut off if my skin is overheating. It's kind of this just sort of safety mechanism so that I know this is not going to overheat my skin. And as the electrodes heat up the skin, the surface of the skin is monitored at 40 to 42 degrees Celsius, but in the dermis, their 3D technology actually heats up the dermal layer of the skin to 50 to 52 degrees Celsius. So it actively monitors the surface, but there's actually more heat happening in the lower dermis to help remodel the collagen. So this is a continuous device. All the devices that I'm going to share with you today are continuous, meaning you have to constantly keep moving the device. You can move it in small circles, and it gets a little warmer, or larger circles to dissipate some of the heat. The bipolar electrodes in the NEWA deliver a constant 1 megahertz of current. Also, I think I mentioned it before, but I want to reiterate, it is not suitable for Fitzpatrick skin tones 5 and 6, the deeper skin tones, just Fitzpatrick skin tones 1 through 4. They have the corded version, which I prefer, and they also have a wireless version. If you're looking for wireless because you travel a lot, you may opt for that, but I find the classic corded version works a little bit more consistently as far as delivering heat. The wireless version for me stayed in the blue a lot longer and just didn't seem to have the consistency of the heat delivery the way the corded version does. That was just my personal experience, and I've also seen in reviews that others actually prefer the corded version as well. It's FDA cleared, and it also has quite a few clinical studies, more clinical studies on the NEWA than any of the other 2 devices that I'm going to share with you today. The cost of the NEWA Classic is around $350, and that's the price without any of my personal discount codes or any sales that might be going on throughout the year. The next radio frequency device I'm reviewing for you guys is the NEBULYFT. This is the R2 version. They have several other versions. This is the only version I've ever tried. This takes a 7-day-a-week commitment. If you're doing a full face, it is a 10 to 14 minute session, and that is 2 minutes per zone. It gives you some feedback. I also should mention the NEBULYFT gives you feedback when each section is done. The 4-minute section is done, it buzzes, and you move on to the next section. The NEBULYFT is the same, but the time commitment per zone is 2 minutes. They're just more zones if you want to do a full face. And the NEBULYFT also, you can do a full face, whereas the NEWA, they only wanted you to treat the lower face. This can be used in the brow area, in the crow's feet area, in the neck area, under the chin, everywhere on the neck and face. It is a very big commitment, especially for the first month. It's 7 days a week, and then you can go into maintenance mode. I used it for 6 days a week. I just couldn't commit to 7 days a week. My maximum commitment was 6 days a week. And I did a 4-minute session to treat the exact same amount of area that I was treating with the NEWA. You can get a little bit larger of an area because the treatment area is a little bit larger. So I did this entire area and I did it for 4 minutes. So I just repeated the zone and moved up a little bit higher to get a comparable result. Now the electrodes in this are a little different. It's multipolar, which means it has multiple electrodes close together. They're actually little electrode microdots, and they're gold microdots. And the multipolar allows you to treat a larger treatment area as opposed to the bipolar, which treats a more focused, smaller area. I found that the temperature of both of these was about the same. They're both continuous. You have to keep them moving at all times. They don't use a stamping method. Some radio frequencies do, but this is a continuous application process. Another unique feature about the NEBULYFT, besides the fact that it has multipolar electrodes, is it adjusts for the area of your face. If you're treating the lower face, then you're going to get a higher delivery of megahertz, not heat, but megahertz. When you're treating the more delicate skin in your under eye, it's going to sense that and it's going to lower the amount of megahertz dispersed by the unit. The range of megahertz delivery is from 0.5 all the way up to 2 megahertz. So it does have a lot more technology that's built into this that helps the device adjust to the areas of your face. Also constantly monitors the temperature of the skin and keeps it under 42 degrees Celsius. Another benefit to the NEBULYFT is it has 5 different levels. You can adjust this for various skin tones. They say this is suitable for all skin tones. You get an app so you can track your treatments and you can follow along with treatments. I personally didn't use the app. The time commitment of doing all 3 devices and adding an app was just a little bit too much for me, along with the other devices that I use in my skincare, so I didn't get a chance to use the app, but that is available if you're interested. It charges on a charging pad and it's wireless. It also is waterproof. So if you're traveling, you can get on one charge about 4 treatments out of the NEBULYFT. So not a full week. So if you're traveling over a week, I would definitely bring your charger with you, but it is waterproof. It does have the wireless feature that actually feels like it's continually delivering a consistent amount of heat. It has the 5 levels. It can be used all over the face and it can be used for all skin tones. As far as flexibility, this is a great little device, but that device comes with a price. The price point at base without any discounts or any special deals is around $550. The CURRENTBODY radio frequency device I used in the submental area. So I did the NEBULYFT on the left, the NEWA on the right, and then I treated my under area, under chin area, and my neck with the CURRENTBODY. Now what makes the CURRENTBODY unique is the treatment time. You use it once a week. The treatment duration is longer, so it's a 5-minute treatment per zone. You have up to 14 zones for a possible 70-minute full facial treatment. You can include the neck. They ask you to spare the thyroid area. You can do under the chin and all the areas of your face, and they break it down into 14 zones. If you don't want to have to use your device every day, if you're just like, I'm going to carve out one day of the week, sit down, do your 70 minutes, do your full facial treatment, that is one way you can do it. Another way I've heard of doing it is to just do one zone every day. So you treat one zone, like your lower face, one day, and then you move on and you cut the 14 treatments down into 7 distinct treatments. So you do 5 minutes one side, 5 minutes the other side. So it would be approximately 10 minutes an evening, but you would have to do it 7 days a week if you want to treat the full face and neck. The CURRENTBODY also comes with bipolar electrodes. It has 2 sensors that monitor the constant temperature of your skin. And one feature of this device is it doesn't actually activate until you touch your skin. Whereas the NEWA and the NEBULYFT start to heat up right away. And if you take it away from your skin and the treatment's still going, it's still heated. This, if you touch your skin, it heats up, you take it away and it stops heating. And it monitors the temperature of your skin from 40 to 41. So this operates at 1 degree lower than the other two devices. The full treatment time to get results they recommend is 8 to 12 weeks. So it's a little bit longer than the NEBULYFT and the NEWA, which are around 1 month that they say you will start seeing results. It continually delivers 1 megahertz of energy plus or minus 0.05. So it maintains that 1 megahertz of energy throughout the use of the device. It is FDA cleared. Again, this is a corded device and it only works when plugged in, so you are tethered to a cord. It has an on and off button at the bottom. It lights up and turns green when it's ready to go. And then when it's done with the treatment session, which is 5 minutes, it will turn yellow, but it doesn't give you a beep. Like if you're sitting there watching TV and doing your different zones and it's time 5 minutes, for 5 minutes is up and it's time to move, it doesn't beep or let you know. You have to constantly be watching this light. So that's, for me, a drawback, that you constantly have to be paying attention to this. And if you remove it to look at it, it stops heating up. So that made it a little bit tricky for me. And it's only for Fitzpatrick, once again, 1 through 4, not suitable for skin tones Fitzpatrick 5 and 6, just like the NEWA. So it has its limitations and it has its benefits. The cost for the current body radio frequency is $385 without any discounts or special deals. A quick review of each of the gels. I found each one of them comfortable. The NEWA probably dried out the quickest. Probably the current body was my favorite gel because it didn't dry out at all. And the NEBULYFT was kind of in between. It took a little bit longer to dry out than the NEWA. All the gels are unscented. None of them irritated my skin. I stuck to using each gel designed to use with this specific device. Now for the fun part, let's take a peek at my before and afters. I'm going to show you a front view and side views, and you can decide whether you see any significant changes. I'm going to show you color versions and black and whites. Sometimes black and white show folds and wrinkles that we can't see in the color pictures. I tried to use natural light. Obviously, there are going to be some slight differences. I tried to keep my head at the same angle. As a reminder, I used the NEBULYFT on the left cheek, the NEWA on the right lower cheek, and in the submental area, I used the current body. Looking at the front view of the before and afters of the NEBULYFT and the NEWA, I do see some softening of the nasolabial folds and a fullness to my skin that I didn't have beforehand. Interestingly, during this time, I did actually have a weight loss, so I would have thought my face would have looked a little bit thinner, but there is some fullness, but the sagging is still quite evident in both the color photos and the black and white photos. Now looking at the left side of my face and the lower cheek and jowl area where I use the NEBULYFT, again, I'm seeing some fullness in the after picture, but I'm not necessarily seeing an improvement in laxity or any tightening of the skin itself. Looking in the under chin area where I use the current body radio frequency, admittedly, my head is tilted a little bit higher in the after picture, but I'm not seeing a significant difference in either fullness or an improvement in laxity. Now with my head turned to the right, let's take a second look at the results of the current body in the under chin area. I honestly see no difference in the before and after pictures in the laxity in my under chin area, nor the fullness. Looking at the results of my lower jowl on the right using the NEWA, again, I do see some more fullness in the after picture, but not necessarily an improvement in laxity. In conclusion, I think radio frequency has promise. I think 3 months is maybe too short a time, especially for the amount of laxity that I have in my face, to really show an amazing difference. But I do feel like the nasolabial folds using both the NEWA and the NEBULYFT showed some improvement. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review of all 3 radio frequency devices, the NEWA, the NEBULYFT, and the current body. As always, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I will leave all my discount codes down below. Some of them do stack on any current sale that's going on. Thanks so much for watching and wishing you all a skintastic day.